The soft glow of early morning sunlight crept through the bedroom window, casting golden streaks over the crisp white sheets. YN slowly stirred, blinking awake to the familiar warmth of Jungkook beside her. His bare chest rose and fell rhythmically, his face still peaceful in sleep, strands of his dark hair falling messily across his eyes. She smiled softly, feeling an overwhelming wave of love as she took in his serene expression. Not wanting to wake him just yet, YN slipped out of bed quietly and padded to the kitchen, her fingers brushing across the marble countertops as she prepared their usual morning coffee. The smell of freshly brewed coffee soon filled the air, blending with the quiet hum of the city waking up outside. As she stood by the window, watching the sun rise over the skyline, she felt two strong arms wrap around her waist from behind. She smiled, already knowing who it was by the way his touch made her heart flutter. Morning. Jungkook's deep voice was still husky from sleep, his breath warm against her neck as he leaned in closer. Good morning, she replied softly, turning her head just enough to catch his lips in a gentle kiss. The kind of kiss that felt like home, filled with love and promises of forever. Jungkook smiled against her lips, his arms tightening around her as he nuzzled his face into the crook of her neck, placing soft kisses there. I don't want to go to work today. Let's just stay here. You, me, coffee, and this. His voice was low, playful, but with a hint of seriousness, as if he truly wished for nothing more than to hold her forever. YN chuckled, leaning back into him, her hands resting on his as they held her close. I wish we could, but you've got that music video shoot today, remember? Jungkook groaned in response, resting his chin on her shoulder. Don't remind me. I'd rather spend the day with you. His words made her heart flutter. Even after all these years, even after their lives had become a whirlwind of busy schedules, fame, and countless projects, his love for her was as constant and unwavering as it had been from the start. I'll be waiting for you when you're done, YN said, turning around in his arms to face him. We can pick up where we left off. He grinned at her, mischief twinkling in his eyes. That's a promise. With one final lingering kiss, Jungkook pulled away, reluctantly preparing to head to the set. Even as he got dressed, his eyes never left YN, as if every second spent apart from her was a second too long. The set was buzzing with excitement by the time Jungkook arrived. It was the first day of shooting for the music video of his newest single, and everyone was eager to bring the vision to life. The director ran through final instructions as the crew adjusted the lights and sound, but Jungkook's mind kept wandering back to YN, to the feel of her lips on his, her warmth lingering in his arms. He couldn't wait to finish this shoot and get back to her. Soojin, his co-star for the video, arrived shortly after him. She was a rising K-pop star, her recent solo debut skyrocketing her popularity. Though Jungkook had worked with many artists, this was the first time he'd collaborated with Soojin. He was professional, kind, and courteous as always, but there was something in Soojin's gaze that felt different, something a bit too intense. From the moment Soojin laid eyes on Jungkook, she had been captivated. His effortless charm, his striking looks, and his undeniable talent left her mesmerized. As they began filming, it became increasingly clear that her admiration for him was growing into something more. In the scene they were shooting, Soojin had to act out a moment of tension with Jungkook, standing close, almost intimate, as they exchanged heated glances. Soojin's hand lingered on his chest longer than it should have, her eyes searching his face as if she were trying to understand him beyond the script. The camera might have captured their fictional chemistry, but Soojin's gaze told a different story. She wasn't just acting. As the director called, "Cut," Soojin took a step closer to Jungkook, her voice soft. You're really incredible, you know. The way you connect with the camera, with people. Jungkook smiled politely, nodding as he adjusted the mic pack on his back. Thanks. It's all about practice, I guess. Soojin's lips parted slightly, as if she wanted to say more, but Jungkook was already moving to the other side of the set, grabbing a bottle of water. He didn't notice the slight hurt flicker in her eyes, but Soojin did. It was the first time she realized just how distant he was with her, despite the chemistry they had to portray on screen. Something was holding him back. Someone. YN hadn't planned to visit the set, but she missed Jungkook, and curiosity got the better of her. She had cleared her schedule for the day, taking a rare break from her writing, and wanted to surprise him. As she arrived, she quietly observed the scene in front of her. Her heart warmed seeing how hard he worked, the way his focus was unshakable, his passion for his craft evident in every take. But then, she saw her. Soojin was standing close to Jungkook, too close. Her hand was resting on his chest in a way that felt more personal than professional. And then Soojin laughed at something Jungkook said, a soft, sweet laugh that felt too familiar. YN's stomach twisted uncomfortably. Her fingers tightened around her bag as jealousy surged through her, the kind she hadn't felt in a long time. She trusted Jungkook completely, but seeing someone else so close to him like that, acting as if she had the right to be, it stung. Jungkook's face lit up when he finally noticed YN standing at the edge of the set. He immediately waved her over, a bright smile spreading across his face. YN, you're here. Jungkook jogged over, wrapping his arms around her in a tight hug. YN smiled, though the jealousy still gnawed at her. I wanted to surprise you. And I'm so glad you did, Jungkook said, planting a quick kiss on her forehead. We're almost done with this scene, then we can head home together. As they talked, YN could feel Soojin's eyes on her, watching them from a distance. YN glanced toward her, catching the slight frown on Soojin's face. The actress quickly looked away, but the tension remained. It was subtle, but YN could feel it. Soojin wanted more from Jungkook than just a working relationship. The rest of the shoot was a blur for YN. She stayed on the sidelines, her heart heavy with the weight of jealousy she didn't want to admit was there. She trusted Jungkook with everything in her, but Soojin's admiration, her obvious infatuation, was hard to ignore. That night, back at their apartment, the air was thick with unspoken tension. YN was unusually quiet, her mind replaying the scenes from the set. She couldn't shake the image of Soojin standing so close to Jungkook, looking at him as if he were more than just a colleague. And despite Jungkook's unwavering love, the jealousy gnawed at her insides. Jungkook noticed immediately. He always did. After dinner, as they sat together on the couch, YN leaning into his side, Jungkook turned to her, his brow furrowed with concern. YN, is something bothering you? His voice was soft, gentle, coaxing her to open up. YN hesitated, biting her lip. She didn't want to seem insecure, but the feelings were too strong to ignore. It's just, I felt weird today on set, she admitted quietly, her voice barely above a whisper. Seeing you and Soojin together. I know it's just work, but it made me uncomfortable. Jungkook immediately sat up, turning to face her fully, his eyes full of understanding. Hey, he said softly, reaching out to take her hands in his. You know there's nothing between me and Soojin, right? She's just a co-star. You're the one I love, YN. You're the only one I've ever loved like this. YN looked down at their intertwined hands, tears prickling at the corners of her eyes. I know that, but, seeing the way she looks at you, like she wants more, it just made me feel insecure. Jungkook gently cupped her face, lifting her chin so she would look at him. I get it, I really do, but you never have to feel insecure with me. You're my everything, YN. No one else could ever take your place. The intensity of his gaze melted away all of YN's fears in an instant. His love for her was undeniable, unshakable. She leaned into his touch, feeling the warmth of his love envelop her completely. I love you, she whispered. Jungkook smiled, his heart swelling with emotion. And I love you, always. Months passed, and the release of Jungkook's new album was finally here. Fans around the world were buzzing with anticipation, eagerly awaiting the debut of the music video he had shot with Soojin. But unbeknownst to the world, Jungkook had been planning something far more significant than just a new album release. The night of the album launch concert was electric. Thousands of fans filled the stadium, their cheers echoing through the air as Jungkook took the stage. He performed his heart out, each song resonating with the crowd in a way only he could manage. As the final number approached, Soojin joined him on stage for their duet. The music video played on the large screens behind them, showcasing their on-screen chemistry. But tonight, something else was in the air. After the performance ended, the stage lights dimmed, and the crowd began to quiet down, sensing that something special was about to happen. Jungkook stood center stage, the spotlight now on him. His heart raced, but it wasn't from the adrenaline of performing, it was from what he was about to do next. Slowly, the spotlight shifted, illuminating YN in the front row. The audience gasped, recognizing her instantly. Jungkook smiled as he walked toward her, his hand slipping into his pocket. The noise of the crowd faded away in his ears, his focus entirely on her. When he reached YN, he knelt down on one knee, pulling out a small velvet box. The entire stadium seemed to hold its breath as he opened it, revealing a stunning engagement ring. YN, Jungkook began, his voice filled with emotion, "You've been my best friend, my partner, and the love of my life. I can't imagine my future without you in it. Will you marry me?" YN's eyes filled with tears, her hands trembling as she gazed down at him, her heart overflowing with love. She nodded, unable to speak at first, overwhelmed by the moment. Finally, through her tears, she whispered, "Yes. Yes, Jungkook, I'll marry you." The crowd erupted into deafening cheers, fans crying and screaming in joy as Jungkook slipped the ring onto her finger. He pulled her into his arms, kissing her deeply as the entire world watched, celebrating their love. From backstage, Soojin watched, her heart heavy with the weight of unrequited feelings. She had admired Jungkook, maybe even developed feelings for him during the shoot, but now, seeing the depth of his love for YN, she understood. There was no room for anyone else in his heart. That space had been claimed long ago. And so, as the night drew to a close, the music fading and the lights dimming, Jungkook and YN stood together, hand in hand, ready to face the future as one. The melody of their love played on, stronger than ever, unbreakable and eternal.